Good evening, good evening. Hello to all of the Happiness Aid Live crew. Guys, I do hope you are all safe and well wherever you're watching this all over the world. I'm here on the beautiful Gold Coast. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ryan Tuckwood, and I'm CEO and co-founder here at ISR Training. And firstly, thank you to Robbie and to Julian, to the whole crew over there at the Happiness Co. You guys are doing phenomenal things. I think this group and this community that they've created is absolutely unbelievable, and I'm super proud to be a part of it. So what I want to share with you guys today, and thank you for the opportunity to do this, is hopefully some tips and some tools that are going to enable you to maximize what I consider to be a tremendous opportunity that we have right now. So we are going through a precarious stage in history, in our businesses, in personal and professional life, and it is not easy. So if I can impart a little bit of knowledge on you with regards to sales and business and mindset, then fantastic. And the four things that I really want to kind of talk to you guys about are, number one, why we are all in sales. Now, I know that sales has got a dirty word. It is a dirty word. There's a stigma around the word sales, whether we like it or not. So I want to talk to you about why we're all in sales, and the first stage is accepting it. So need to get you on board with that initially. Then I want to talk to you about the changed perception of the traditional view of salespeople. So start thinking you about explaining to you about where we might be doing selling in our day-to-day life. Then I want to talk to you about understanding why maybe businesses not necessarily fail just now, because unfortunately there's a big crisis going on, and sometimes it's just not our fault. But how can we prepare for the back end of this when we do come out of it? So why do some businesses fail? And then the top 10 mistakes that businesses make. And I've actually just added on, just 10 minutes before I decided I can't just give you all the mistakes and all the negatives. I'm also going to give you some tips on how to actually assist your sales processes, maximize your sales opportunities through this precarious time that we're going through. Naturally, there is a lot of questions at the minute about whether we should be selling in general. Should we be presenting our offering to other human beings? I will get to that, but I will say before we get started, without sales, business fails. In fact, without sales, the whole global economy has just crashed. We've just watched it. We've just witnessed it. So I want that to be one of the main messages that you take from this, that without sales, business does fail. So we do need to get comfortable with the word sales. We need to get comfortable with the fact that we are all in sales. Whether you're in a direct role where you are picking up the phone or speaking to an end user and selling a product and or service, we are selling something every single day. Guys, for me to be able to explain this to you and walk you through this, I think I need to earn the right to do so. So what I'm going to do with your blessing for the first 10 minutes or so is just explain a bit about my background and how I became to be in the position that I'm in today, and absolutely love and be fulfilled in what I do, which I do understand is a privilege. And I understand that I'm very fortunate for that. So if you are watching this live, what I will ask you to do, just write a quick why if you consider yourself to be in sales, and an N in the chat if you do not believe that you're in sales. So let's start. Let's see what we've got here. So why if you believe you're in sales, N if you do not believe you're in sales. You can be honest with me. I will not be offended. I've been in this industry long enough now. And whilst you're doing that, if you wanted to make notes through this, feel free to do so. What I would ask you to do is grab yourself a pen and paper. I'm going to be giving lots of bullets. Good to see you, sir. Harry's in sales. Big capital Y, big proud. I'm in sales, Y. What I will ask you guys to write down, it's pretty much how I start every single presentation, anywhere in the world that I speak, any company in the world that I coach at. I start with this one quote. And the quote is, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is power. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is power. How do I know this? Because I used to be a chief procrastinator. I used to be one of those people that would sit at the back of the room. I would watch all of these types of webinars, these podcasts. I would consume lots of information, and I would do absolutely nothing with it. So I had this knowledge that was kind of just sitting there, and it's absolutely useless. It's like having a light, and you've got the plug. And to get that light on, you've got to plug it in the plug socket. You've got everything that you need. You've got the plug in your hand, but without putting it in the plug socket and getting a connection, then you're not going to get the result that you need. Hey, Priya, good to see you. You're not going to get the result that you need, which is light. This industry and anything you ever want to do is exactly the same. Just gaining the knowledge is not enough. You need to do something with that knowledge to truly see a return. I figured that out the hard way. I got to the age of 27. I'd been a mechanical maintenance engineer for almost a decade in the UK, and I was very good at it. I was methodical. I was precision orientated. I was process orientated, but I wasn't fulfilled. So in 2010, I decided to jump on a plane. I moved over here to Australia, moved to Sydney originally, and then I did eventually move up to the Gold Coast. And as a backpacker, I found it very, very tough to find employment. So I could only work for one organization for a maximum of 6 months. And the only work I could find was in a call center. Now, if you guys have worked in call centers out there before, you'll know that working in a call center is not always that enjoyable. It's certainly not fun. And if you are like what I used to be, or still am, I guess, deep down, an introvert by nature, not somebody that takes kindly to rejection, doesn't like conflict, going in a call center and being told your job is to make $300 a day, whereby in the space of 90 seconds, you've got to find out if somebody's got $15,000 to $25,000 in their bank, that is demoralizing, because when you do that 300 times a day, you're going to get 298 people tell you in no uncertain terms to go away, never call you again. That got to me. That got to me after a while. Now, I'm going to condense this story really, really short just for the sake of this, because I've got a lot to cover and I want to make sure that you guys get some value points as well, not just the story. But I got to 3 months in, and there was 21 people in the call center that I worked at. I was 21st. That means bottom out of every single person in that call center. I was the worst salesperson in that organization. Not only was I the worst person there, they let everybody know. They have a board that tells you you're the worst person there. So I got 3 months in. At this stage, I was sleeping on a bathroom floor. I was sleeping on a pool floaty, on a lilo if you're British out there. And I've been sleeping on this bathroom floor for 6 weeks. I had 31 cents to my name. So I was broke as you get, sleeping on a bathroom floor, hating my job, not enjoying it, because nobody enjoys something they're not good at. And then one night, about 2 o'clock in the morning, it was a Tuesday morning, I'm laying on this pool floaty, and all of a sudden it just goes, and I just sink to the floor, and I'm now laying there flat on these cold tiles, thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? I hate my job. I'm not very good at it. I've got no money. I can't support my girlfriend, Alicia, who's now my wife, which is an amazing sale in itself. Why am I doing this? Why am I continuing? And when we do hit a crisis point, which is where we're at right now, when we hit a crisis point in life, there's two things we can do. There's two mindsets we can have, but there's two things we can do. We can either quit, which is the easy one. Hey, Rianda, good to see you. We can quit. That's really easy to do. Or we can dig our heels in and give this a really good go to see if we can come out the other side of it. Needless to say, I was a glass half empty type character when I first moved over here. I am not a naturally optimistic person. I'm a naturally pessimistic person. I'm a realist. I'm an engineer. I'm logical. And I said, I'm no good at this. And I just went, I'm quitting. I went into work the next day. I told my boss, who ended up being my business partner, Jack, and I said to him, mate, this is no good for me. I'm leaving. I'm going to go back to the UK. I've got a family that loves me. I've got a job that I could go back to. Sales is not for me. Jack looked me dead in the eyes, and he said to me there and then, and I'll never forget it because it changed my life. He said, you haven't even tried. And I'm like, how dare you? I am working my ass off here. And he said, you haven't, Ryan. You haven't truly tried to master this craft. Again, condensing this really quickly, guys. Jack that day set me a challenge. He wanted me to, for the next 60 days, to fanatically consume as much information as I could around sales, negotiation, body language, emotional intelligence, behavioral science. And he said to me there and then, if at the end of those 60 days, Ryan, you're still bottom of the board, I'll pay for your flight home, but go home with your head held high, knowing you gave this a really good go. Obviously, I had nothing to lose, took him up on the challenge. Within 5 weeks, I went from 21st to 1st. Within 5 weeks, didn't take me 60 days. But most importantly, I had a huge penny drop moment for the first time in my life. When I was doing all this study, and I was studying, some of you might be familiar with these. If you are, just let me know in the chat. Your Jim Rohn, your Tom Hopkins, your Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Ron Willingham, all the way through to your modern day greats such as Jordan Belfort, Grant Cardone, Jeremy Minor. And I realized there was a golden thread that everybody was teaching. Anything to do with the psychology of buying or sales. There was 5 points, and they were: how do you make a winning first impression? How do you discover and open people up and find out their needs? How do you present in a way that they see value, not the way that you see value? How do you trial close? How do you ask for the business? Number one reason that salespeople fail is they don't ask for the business. And number 5 was objection handling and mindset. So how do you control your headspace amongst all this rejection, which you're notoriously going to get anyway? And my engineering brain went, oh my goodness, sales is a process. There is a formula in place. There is an order that we do things. And if we get the order correct, you're more often than not going to be able to communicate the value of what you do better. And when you do that, you increase your probabilities of making a sale because they've made the decision. You haven't rammed it down their throat for them. And that is really important. Our whole methodology is called SWISH, selling with integrity and selling honestly. You do not need to lie, bully, and manipulate to make a sale. That is our mission, is to change the perception of salespeople around the globe. So I had this penny drop moment. And all of a sudden, I've fell in love with this system. And one of my first mentors said to me, Ryan, if you don't love what you do, love how you do it. If you don't love what you do, love how you do it. I learned to love how you do sales. I learned to love the process. And in turn, I started to see my results increase. That gave me an intrinsic motivation like never before. Within 2 years, I'd gone from 31 cents in my bank to earning over $300,000 in commissions. Now, I'm not saying that to show off. I'm saying that it changed my life because it gave me an opportunity to support my family and my friends around me. My dad's been pretty ill for the best part of 20 years. My mum works 60, 70 hours a week. They don't have money. They don't have savings. They've got no pension or super. They don't own a house. They rent. So I was able to support them for the first time ever because I finally had the penny drop that this is a process, and it is in any industry, in any business. It's the exact same process. I ended up being general manager of that company and running a team of 47 people. I then broke away in 2014 with my now business partner, Jack. We created ISR training with the sole mission to take people like me, I guess, that didn't think that they could be in sales, didn't want to be in sales, and show them that you can do this successfully, and you do not need to change who you are. You can be authentically you. The vision is to become the #1 ethical sales training company on the planet, and our values that underpin everything are transparency, integrity, and inspiration. So we want to inspire people to take action. You don't want to manipulate or convince or persuade. Look at the word convince. The first 3 letters of the word convince are con. You don't need to be doing any of that. You want to be inspiring people to take action. A little bit more about my background, just very quickly. A few years into the business. So last year, 2018, December 2018, I had a baby boy. So I'm now proud father of a baby boy called Maverick Ace. You might have caught my tattoo a couple of times there. And I own a hair and beauty salon with my wife, and I co-founded a real estate investment company with my business partner, Jack, as well. So within the space of 6 years, so I started studying sales around about late 2010, 2011, started the business in 2014. That was my first business, the current business I'm talking to you from right now, ISR Training. And then I've been able to start 3 businesses in 6 years, and I don't work in 2 of them, all because of the foundations that I want to talk to you about today. One other thing I'm going to reference before I get into the content. What I had no idea would happen to me with understanding This is communication training, guys. This is not, if you hate the word sales, call it communication training. That's how I got my head around it until I owned the fact I'm a sales coach and realized for the first time sales is a noble trait. I had no idea the impact this would have on me on a personal level. No idea. Just over 2.5 years ago, maybe, or 2 to 2.5 years ago, I had a debilitating fear of public speaking. Shaking, sweating, dry mouth, red rash on my neck. I wouldn't have done this. There's not a chance I would have done this. I was fortunate enough to speak at the Certified Ballers event over at the Optus Stadium in Perth back at the end of February, start of March, before the whole world got closed down. So great timing. And there was a couple of hundred people in there. I would not have done that 2 years ago. A week before that, I was on stage. I was the MC for 8 hours straight, 2 days in a row for Jordan Belfort in front of 2,000 people. I wouldn't have done that. And I promise you again, I put it down to the skills that I've learned over the last decade with the art of communication, because it will change every aspect of your life. And I'm going to go into that. So that's a little bit about my background. One final thing about the business. Let's read Paul's note. Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate that. It means a lot, and it is a belief system, and it has to come from within. There's nobody that can be external to you going, hey, you can take on the world, you can do whatever you want. You can't. You have to believe it internally first, and that starts with small, quick wins, just little wins along the way. In 2018, this culminated with my business partner and I. We were stupid or smart, and we decided to go on the TV show Shark Tank. And we were the first company in the history of ISR to secure 3 investors on that show. So we now have Steve Baxter, Andrew Banks, and Dr. Glenn Richards, who sit as advisors to us. They are shareholders, and they own a 10% stake each in our business. So they have a vested interest as well. They often do tours with us. And that has really kind of catapulted us to where we are right now, training individuals, so owner-operators, SMEs, and people that have got an idea that want to take it to the market, individual salespeople, all the way through to your corporate entities such as Westpac, Mercedes, and National Storage, Amex, and companies of that nature. So the reason I tell you that story, guys, is just to put into context the information I'm about to share with you right now. And one of the points I make towards the end will also validate why I needed to do that first. So hopefully that came across the right way. I'm not doing that to show off, because I am far, far from a finished product, and I am no way near as smart as some of the people in this group. My dad was a factory worker, and my mum was a cleaner. I didn't want to be in sales. I hated it because I wasn't very good at it. So if right now any of that resonated with you, thank you, Rianda, I appreciate it. If any of that resonated with you, I want that to be a slight light at the end of the tunnel, especially with where we are in business right now, because in my opinion, we have the biggest opportunity we have ever had in business. After every recession comes a boom. We know that, and it's the right mindsets that will go forth and take advantage of this boom. So hopefully we can inspire you through this community to be the type of person that takes advantage of it. So, all right, thank you, Angela. Big thumbs up, that is. Okay, let me move on really quickly then. If you are making any notes, and I appreciate some of you might be listening to this as you're driving, but if you are making notes, I want to cover a few things just really quickly on why we are in sales, all of us. Rianda, definitely selling can be quite hard, and changing that mindset 100%. One of the best things that I ever got told by my coaches, Rianda, and hopefully this will resonate with you. He said to me, Ryan, do you believe in your product? I was like 100%. And this was about 2 years in, 2 years into this business. Because I wouldn't put myself on camera, by the way. I wouldn't put content out there. I wouldn't go on social media. And I had that imposter syndrome where I didn't feel like I'd earned the right. He said, Ryan, do you believe in your product? I said, yes, absolutely. He said, how many people have you coached? I said, getting on for a couple of thousand now. He said, what are their results like? And I told him the results, which were unbelievable. And he said, so if you've got somebody in front of you and you know categorically you can assist them, and then you don't have the skills to sell to them or get your product or service into their hands when you know it can genuinely help better their life, and if they don't get it, you're actually having a detrimental effect on their life, how do you sleep at night? And I was like, sorry. He said, how dare you? How dare you not sell to somebody that has the need for your product or service? Like, just for you guys watching right now, if you ever gone into a shop somewhere or wanted something, you've rang up for something, you know you want to buy it, and then the salesperson or the consultant, you just didn't connect with them. You didn't like them. They were trying to upsell you. They were trying to recommend something that was more expensive that you didn't want and or need, and you ended up buying nothing. They've just had a detrimental effect on your life. So my belief right now is if I go through what we call a discovery session with you, or a sales awareness call, we call it, if at the end of that I categorically know I can assist you, I have a duty of care and a responsibility to have the skills to get my services into your hand. If I do not do that, I am doing you a disservice. And that is my duty of care, is to not do that. Michelle, exactly. If you have a skill and a product or service that is proven and you genuinely, hand on heart, believe in it, it is your responsibility to get it into their hands. But have the skills to do it, not force it upon people. This is really key, guys, here. Not force it upon people, but be able to speak in their language. There's 4 different buying languages, and we need to make sure that we're speaking in their language so they see the value, and that's the skill. And that's why I think we all need to learn these skills. So I'm just going to rattle off a few things that I've made a note of why I believe we're all in sales. And I'm going to go relatively quick, guys. And sorry if I'm speaking like a horse racing commentator. I've got 200 hours worth of content and normally do 10-hour sessions. So I've been told I've got anywhere up to 45 minutes. So I've already got a sweat on. Why I believe we're all in sales. Number 1, it's going to improve your communication skills, as I alluded to earlier, in all facets of your life. Number 2, it will boost your confidence. I promise you, when you remove fear, Rianda, yes, educate, do not sell. Love that. When you remove any fear of rejection or objections, it will naturally boost your confidence. When you remove fear because you know what language to use, what word tracks to use, how to breathe, how to transition, how to control a conversation, it will change how you act in a networking environment. Michelle said she'll let me go longer. Don't tempt me, I'll be here all night. The third one here I've got, you'll be able to take advantage of more opportunities in life. Now, my public speaking coach, Harry Singer, said this to me. I said to him, mate, I don't need public speaking training because I don't get any opportunities anyway. That's what I said to him. I said, mate, there's not a lot out there. And he said to me, Ryan, don't train when you're ready. Train to be ready so you never miss an opportunity. So don't train when you're ready because you'll never be ready. I would never have been ready to go, right, put me on stage in front of 1,000 people. Never. It's like when I became a father 18 months ago. I thought I was ready. I wasn't ready. Nobody can prepare you for that. So he said to me, don't train when you're ready. Train to be ready so you never miss an opportunity. After he said that, I engaged his services. I did 188 events last year, in 2019. That's one event every 2.9 days. When the start of this year, I got invited to speak at the Optus Stadium, as I said earlier, with Your Social Voice crew, who were bloody amazing and phenomenal, and Julie and Robbie from Happiness Co. So I met some amazing people. When those opportunities came along, and the Jordan Belfort one, do you want to MC in front of 1,000 people? I was like, yes, I'll take it, because I was ready. I don't wait for the opportunities. I prepare to be ready for the opportunities. Paul just put, the quality of your communication is reflective in the quality of your life. I love that. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. Love that phrase. Rihanna's put, no one can prepare you for parenthood. Absolutely not. But I love it. How good is it? Next couple of things of why we're all in sales. It will increase your morale of your team. If you can communicate to your team members, your family members, your peers better, so they understand you better, you watch how that improves all aspects of your life. Last couple of things in here, I'm going to try not to make it direct sales. I want it to be all aspects of your life. It will remove your frustration in life. There's frustrations that we get in life because people don't understand our message. You need to be able to change your message up. You need to be able to say it in 4 different languages. You will be able to impact way more people. If you want to impact people, you need to be able to inspire people to take action. So you need to be able to talk in their language. And the final one that I think is really pertinent right now, which I added in last minute, because we've got lots of people in our network at the moment that unfortunately are looking for work. If you are looking for employment right now, you need to learn more than ever the skill of selling yourself. There is, unfortunately, we're leading towards 10% unemployment in the country. There is some extremely skilled people looking for work right now. It is very, very hard to find employment. Supply and demand suggests it's going to be very, very hard. So more than ever, you now need to be able to sell yourself, because there's going to be other people with the same qualifications or better. We are buying you first. And I'm going to get into that in a short while. So there's a few reasons why I believe we're always in sales. If you are a parent, you know that your children are always selling you. So they don't want to go to bed. You want them to go to bed. You want them to eat the food. They don't want them to eat their food. That's a sale. That's a negotiation. Where me and my wife go for dinner I'd say it's a negotiation. She chooses, and that's about it. I negotiate on how much I eat and what I eat so I can save some money. Do we know? Oh, I love that, Paul, as well. Paul, loving this input. Do you know your own unique selling point? Do you know what's your point of difference, guys? What is it? If you don't know that, you need to figure it out, because there needs to be something that helps you stand out. It might be, if I go back to the job seeking line again for a second, if you're looking for work right now, your point of difference might be in your application. It might be for the fact that you don't just put a bog standard application in on Seek and just do it the normal way. You might put a video in. You might send a video in. You might send a handwritten letter somewhere. Probably won't get there because they won't be in the office. That's probably not a great idea right now, but I'm thinking off the top of the dome. So try and think outside the box. I've got 26 different ways to follow up with another human being from a sales perspective. There's many ways to reach people right now. We're fortunate with the online ecosystem that we've got, that you can reach people whenever, wherever. What an opportunity. And also on top of that, by the way, guys, just to talk about the opportunity we've got right now. If you are in sales, I appreciate some of you might be employed in another role that you don't consider sales. That's a whole different conversation. If you are, and your job is to reach out to potential prospects or businesses, or whatever it may be, or suppliers, there has never been a better time. The first reason for that is we have common ground with everybody in the world for the first time ever. You've got common ground with everybody. I think there's about 4 or 5 countries in the world that have not been affected by COVID, but they will have been affected in some way, shape, or form because they were preparing for it and trying to stop it getting in. You got common ground with everybody. That awkward first 15, 20 seconds that you have on a sales call, if you haven't been trained to do it professionally, gone, because you've got the common ground there right now. All right, so now I want to go into, just for the last 10, 15 minutes, the top 10 reasons I believe businesses fail, but from a sales perspective. So when they asked me to do this video, I said I like to stay in my lane. I don't want to purport to be something that I'm not. I don't consider myself to be a motivational speaker. I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a practical trainer that inspires you through showing you quick wins, so then you get inspiration internally, not externally. So I said I'd like to stay in my lane. I want to talk about sales, and I think there's a few reasons businesses fail because they don't have certain aspects of their sales processes correct. So I'd like to share them with you, and then finish with a couple of tips as well. Paul, you've hit the nail on the head there. We are vulnerable, mate. We're going through a stage of grief. Anybody that knows the grief curve, we are going through that right now. We had a bit of shock. We're in a little bit of mourning if we've lost either people or businesses or finances, and that's scary. So we need to lead in a little bit differently, and I'm going to get into that shortly. So these are in no particular order, guys. I was just kind of spitballing these off my head. So these are my 10 reasons I believe businesses fail from a sales perspective. Number one. Thanks, Michelle. I'll come back for part 2, 3, 4, and 5. Number one reason is that people go into an interaction trying to sell. They try to make your money focused. And when I say I'm talking generally. So if you are making notes again, please and I say this whenever I go into any company, usually the CEO or the sales manager or the director of sales will be sitting in the training as well, usually at least in the first session. And I normally open with this line, and you can see their face drop, like, hold on, what the hell is this guy saying? And I say, your job is not to make a sale. Your job is not to make a sale. And they go, what? And I say, your job is to find out if a sale should be made. That is it. Your job in business and in sales, in human interaction, whatever it may be, is to find out if a sale should be made. If I was to pay you a commission on finding out if every single prospect was your target market, your job is only to find out, there's 10 points that we need to find out to categorically know that that person is going to benefit from your product or service. If that was the case and you got paid a commission for just finding out that information, I promise you, you would change the way you go into those interactions. You would give more information about you, because the more information you give, the more information you get. You would open up, you would show vulnerability, you would show humility, and you won't be focused on the money outcome. You won't be focused on trying to make a sale there and then. So number one reason is people go into an interaction trying to sell when your job should only be to find out if a sale should be made. Granted, once you find out there is a sale to be made, it is also then your responsibility to make sure you've got the skills to get your product or service into their hands, as we spoke about earlier. Number two, this one is directly borrowed from one of our investors, Mr. Andrew Banks from Shark Tank. I love this guy, super charismatic. He said, Ryan, your job is not to be interesting, but to be interested. So one of the biggest mistakes I see is that people try and be interesting, not interested. So you should show more of an interest in them than you should be hoping they're showing in you. The reality is, in a sales environment, in a business environment, people care about themselves. Unfortunately, that's the way the world is. So no one enjoys talking about themselves more than they do. So your job is to be interested, not interesting. Number three, and I've spoke about this a couple of times now. There's 4 different sales languages, and this is just the way we do it. By the way, there's a magnitude of ways to do this, but the headline is, you are not communicating value in a way that they see value. So then you are not communicating value in a way that they see value. Now, anybody that's done personality profiling out there, we actually use DISC profiling. Obviously, there's Myers-Briggs, and there's a magnitude of different ways to understand personality profiling. I like DISC. It makes it really simple. There's just 4 different personality types: dominant, influencer, steady, and conscientious, which is what DISC is. And you can read somebody in about 45 to 60 seconds. It's unbelievable once you master it. And what if you think about it as, let's say there's 4 salespeople in a room, and you're a potential client for them. You've got a French salesperson, Italian, Spanish, and English. If the French person is trying to sell you and you don't speak French, and they are the number 1 French salesperson in the world for the last 10 years straight, if you don't understand what they're saying, they will not be able to make a sale to you, regardless of how good it is, because they are not speaking your language. So I like to think about sales being delivered in 4 different languages. So you need to understand the language of your prospect, and you need to be able to read that very quickly, and then you need to be able to chameleonize. I realize that is a word. I thought I made that up once, but you need to be able to chameleonize and be a chameleon very quickly and adapt your language accordingly while still being authentic to you. And I'll keep coming home to that. This doesn't mean that you're not changing who you are. Hey, Julian, good to see you, my man. So you need to be able to read very quickly the language of your consumer. All right, number 4. This one pains me. Selling features, not benefits. We've all heard of features and benefits. A feature is, this car has ABS brakes. Do you want it? Do you have to pay more for it? Yep. The feature is, this car has ABS brakes. So when you're starting in the middle of city traffic, and you've got the young one, little Maverick, in the back, should there ever be a little bit of a bump or you need to slow down or stop immediately, it's going to secure the safety of your child in the back. Feature, benefit. Stop selling features, start selling outcomes. Nobody invests in our sales training. You don't pay for sales training. You don't even pay for the knowledge. You pay for the outcome. So when we're talking about our products, we're selling what you'll get on the back of it. So try and think, what are the results of your program, so your products or services? And that might be an emotional result. It might be financial. It might be physically. It might be health, mindset, confidence, whatever it may be. That's what you sell, the outcome. Take them past the buying line and talk about the outcome, not the feature. Big bane of my life. I go into so many sales environments and I say, can I just listen to you guys for an hour? Let me just listen to your calls. Let me just go and shadow you. And all they're doing is feature. I'm like, do you want to talk to them about the emotional benefit? Because the feature is all logic. People do not buy on logic. They buy on emotion and they justify on logic on the back end. Number 5, people only have 3 or 4 ways to reach a prospect. 3 or 4 ways to reach a prospect, especially if you're doing a follow-up. As I touched on earlier, we've got 26 different ways to follow up. If you're only reaching out over the phone or via email, you're missing a trick. Just to rattle off a few, you can go to the same networking event as somebody. You can leave them not a voicemail, but a voice message. Totally different, that is. Just how easy is that? Go from that to that. When that comes up in your text message or in Messenger, WhatsApp, whatever it is, it looks different. You can do it on LinkedIn as well. Somebody friend requests you on LinkedIn. By the time you reply saying thanks for your message, you could have literally gone, hey, Paul, thanks for reaching out. Pleasure to connect. Let me know if I can ever assist with anything. You now stand out from every other request that he's got there. So tiny little things. You need 3 or 4 ways to reach a prospect, and you need to make sure that you're standing out from the crowd. All right, number 6, looking to take, not give. Looking to take, not give. So we've created another acronym. I love an acronym, something called COVS, C-O-V, and then a little S on the end, C-O-V-S, and it's contents of value. Contents of value. So we've got a Dropbox folder. It's got over 200 contents of value. So I can give, this is giving right now. What these guys have created in Happiness Aid is a content of value on steroids. There's over 4,000 phenomenal people in here, all sharing their stories, building a community, helping each other, being there for each other, empathizing with people. It's unbelievable. It's a content of value. It's a give with no expectations of getting anything in return. That is the key here, guys. Don't do it to expect something in return. So we create all of this content and we just give. We give away our best content. So I always say, show people how good you are. Don't tell them. Show people, don't tell them. Sales has changed over the years, very much so now. We can do as much research on your company as we want in a second. Some of you, as soon as you logged in, you might have seen my name. You can Google me. You Google my name, within 10 seconds, you know everything about me. So you need to be offering as much value as possible. Yeah, giving, Julian, right there, giving value. Absolutely. Number 7 is people stop creating confusion for your prospect. Stop creating confusion for your prospect. People do not buy in a state of confusion. You ever been into a restaurant and there's like so many things on the menu? You actually get confused and you then get frustrated. You actually get annoyed. You don't know what to choose. You end up just choosing one off the cuff, and then your partners or whoever you're with, their food comes out and you go, I wanted that. And now you're annoyed. You're annoyed with the venue. You're annoyed with the place. There's too many options. Keep your options to a maximum of 3. You can have umbrellas of different products and series of products that you've got, but when you do go through your discovery and you're funneling it all the way down to the perfect product or service for them, no more than 3. Talk about each 3 individually, and then ask them which one would they be leaning towards. Not which one do you want to do. Not a closed question. Which one would you be leaning towards? A, B, or C, and why? Guys, I'm really rattling through these, so hopefully this is a little bit of value for you. Number 8. I just stole number 8. I already spoke about it. Not providing enough options. There you go. I can just save myself 10 seconds. So make sure you provide enough options. 3 maximum. Number 9, I also touched on this earlier. The number 1 reason that businesses and or salespeople fail is they don't ask for the business. They don't trial close. Based around the limited information that you've seen so far today, is this something you could see yourself benefiting from? Trial close, really easy. One language pattern, take that away today. Based around the limited information that we've spoke about so far today, is this something you could see yourself benefiting from? Not, do you want to do it, yes or no? Nice little trial close, dip your toe in the water, see where there are. There's 3 levels to it. There's low level, mid-level, financial level commitment. So make sure you get your trial close in the right order. Number 10, before I go into my tips, just to finish us off for a quick 5 minutes, is number 1 reason that businesses fail is they don't respect that sales is a skill. You learn how to use MyOb and Xero. You learn how to use Excel. You understand employment law. You register your business through ASIC. You do everything right, but you don't learn how to sell professionally. This is an art. This is a skill. And it's left just with a hope style of marketing and fingers crossed, if my product is good enough, it will sell. Couldn't be further from the truth. How many phenomenal products around the world have gone under that they were great? They actually work. But you can't sell a secret. And if you communicate it the wrong way to the market, people won't pay for it. They won't buy for it. Thank you, Jody. That's really nice of you to say. So not realizing that sales is a skill or a paramount importance to upskill their employees in this skill. We do a lot around culture and mindset, and what the guys do at Happiness Co is unbelievable. I think that sets this, lays the foundations. You've got to be all right up here first. You need to want to learn something new, and it lays the foundation for learning the actual intricate skills of sales for sure. I'm 10 years in. I've got 2 mentors at the minute that are paid. I've had probably 6 or 7 mentors over the years that are paid, and then a lot of other people that I'm surrounded with. I'm still learning lots of things all the time. I did a podcast interview at 4 p.m. this afternoon with a guy called Spencer Lodge, based in Dubai, sales guy. I've been in the industry for 30 years. I learned so much from him just in the space of an hour. So I'm still learning lots. So it is a skill. It's an ever-changing skill because the market is more educated than ever before. They're more sophisticated than ever before. And we need to keep on refining this. We need to stay TSA 2 steps ahead. All right. Finally, guys, I've got just 8 little quick tips to help you sell during a crisis. Because I guess I didn't want this to be too negative. I wanted this to be real positive. I want you to kind of walk away from here going, hey, that's cool. Like, we can still sell. There's still, because people are still buying. People are still buying things. Don't mistake the fact that less people are spending. People are still spending. The day the stimulus was announced, you guys might have seen these figures. The day the stimulus was announced, the JobKeeper allowance and the government bailouts for companies and the access to loans, consumer spending went up 40% the same day, instantly. Does anybody want to guess what the main thing that the spending went on? So if you want to write in the chat, does anybody know what it was? What was the number 1 thing they spent on the day they realized we're going to get some more money back? Hey, Tracy, good to see you. Whilst you're guessing that, I'm going to roll into this. I know there's a little bit of a lag. I don't want to say it. I'm going to have to say it just in case. Gambling. And then up there as well was personal development. I think for the first time ever, people have realized that, hey, I don't have to commute to work at the moment. I've got myself back half an hour, 45 minutes every single day. I'm going to utilize this time. And if I am locked down for the next 60 days, I'm going to come out of it a better person development-wise than when I went into it. I certainly did. I said, I've been procrastinating over writing my book for a long time. I've had my excuses removed. So now I've been writing my book. I engaged a ghostwriter, publisher, and it's just happening. So, all right, I don't know how I got into that. Sorry, guys, I got off on tangents. Top 8 tips for selling during a crisis. Number one, and this is number 1 for a reason. You must lead with empathy. You must lead with empathy right now. Paul, I think it was you that said it earlier, mate, that people are vulnerable. People are grieving. People are in pain. We have to lead with empathy. You lead with empathy, that will get your foot in the door. Reliability, capabilities, intent, integrity, trust, that will keep you in the door. Your job right now is to just show people that you actually care. And don't just do it as a facade. You should actually care. I got asked on an interview last week, and they said to me, Ryan, what have you changed about your sales processes since the crisis? And so how has your team adapted? I'm like, we haven't. We still sell with integrity and we sell honestly. We do exactly as we've always been done. I love what's happening right now, and I mean that with the utmost respect to everything that's happening, because I think for the first time ever from a sales perspective, we are being forced to sell with integrity and sell honestly. You cannot be high pressure people, because people are more hurt than before. They're more abrupt than before. They've got shorter fuses than they had before. So they have to sell now for the right reasons, and I love it. Number two is just that, is to add even more value than you were before. If you used to do one podcast or one piece of content that you would put out there a month, you now need to be doing 10. If you were to touch base with your prospects or your clients once a week, you should now be doing it 4 or 5 times a week. One of my daily non-negotiables is to touch base, and that could be a text message, LinkedIn, email, whatever it may be, to 3 of my current prospects every single day. So I have 10 daily non-negotiables. One of them was that, to touch base with 3 of them a day. Once this hit, I did change that to 10. So I'm now touching base with 10 current clients every single day. Just not trying to sell them, just letting them know I'm here for them if they want anything. Do you want any free material, any free content? Is there anything we can do to help your staff right now? I did a webinar on how to maximize working from home, things of that nature. So is there anything I can do for you? Just be there for them, because when we do come out the other side of this, and we will, when we do come out the other side of this, I promise you, your customers, your network, your prospects, the people around you, the family members, they will remember the ones that were here for them during this time and didn't try to sell from them. So take advantage of the opportunity that's created, which is a boom afterwards, of course, but take advantage of it by giving more right now. Don't take advantage of people. Ken Blowfield, how are you, sir? Good to see you, man. All right, number 3. Again, a lot of these are rolling into one another, is be recent and frequent. Be recent and frequent. There's a great book out there called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, an amazing psychologist. And he talks about the law of familiarity. And in there, he suggests that people do business with businesses or people that are most recent, frequent, front of mind, and adding value. So you need to be front of mind for them. We need to be in the market more than ever, because silence is a killer. During something like this, everybody assumes that you're going under, everybody's struggling. And that's okay. They can think whatever they want, but they need to see that you're still a light at the end of the tunnel for them. Think about your news feed on socials, on here, on Facebook. It's a sea or an ocean of negativity, of pessimism. So when they're scrolling through and then all of a sudden they see there's Julian, there's Jody, there's Paul, there's Tracy, there's Ken. And every time they see you, you're the beacon of hope. Be that person. Be recent and frequent. Call every single person in your database. Call 100 people a day. How are you? Can I help you? Is there anything I can do for you? Give them a call. How are you coping with this crisis right now? Right at that point, when you ask them that question, you're going to split their personalities. You're going to find out who the negative Nancys are, and you're going to find out who are the positive ones. You're going to find out who are the ones that are really challenged right now and need your assistance, and who are the ones that are also looking at this as an opportunity. They're your prospects right now. The other ones are the ones you need to support and be there for. Number 4, set the scene. I spoke earlier about removing confusion. People do not buy in a state of confusion. I've got a really simple process to do that. It's called ANOT, A-N-O-T. I'm going to have to blast through this really quickly, guys. A-N-O-T. The first thing you do is appreciate their time. Guys, I want to appreciate your time. Say thank you very much for joining me on this webinar. N, naturally, after over a decade in this industry, I know that everybody's situation is different. O, obviously, for me to understand whether I can assist you or not, I need to ask you a few basic questions. T, typically, this conversation will usually go one way or the other. We might not be able to assist you, or we will. Now, guys, that's the quickest I've ever done, A-N-O-T, A-Not. It's a frame, it's a word track that allows you to set the scene for what's coming up. So firstly, appreciate your time. Naturally, I've been doing this a long time, build credibility. Obviously, I need to ask you a few questions to understand whether I can assist you or not. The or not lowers sales defenses. Typically, this conversation will go one way or the other. If I don't believe we can assist you, is it okay that we wish each other all the best and I might be able to refer somebody else? Fantastic. Lower sales defenses again. Alternatively, if I do believe we can assist you, is it equally okay that we walk you through what options you've got? Brilliant. All right, A not. So set the scene. Number 5, take your corporate hat off. I didn't know which way I was taking it off there. Take your corporate hat off. Get rid of your phone voice. Be real. You know you've got a phone voice. If I gave you 2 sets of leads right now, and I gave you, in this hand, I gave you 100 of your current clients, and in this hand, I gave you 100 stone cold clients that have never spoke to you before, I promise you, tonally, you sound different to both. Why? Don't do that. The little brain hack is to take your current clients, your familiar tone, and utilize it on your cold. It will break down sales defenses immediately. So take your corporate hat off, be a real human being. Real recognizes here, real. There's no business to business or business to consumer. There's just H to H, human to human. Number 6 is sell you first. So the order that we sell is McP, myself, company, product. Myself, company, product, McP. Not Ken, he real all the time, man. Yeah, you are, brother. I'll definitely testify to that. Myself, company, product. Paul, thank you very much for joining me for so long. I do appreciate your time. Thank you. So sell yourself first. And then the final couple are number 7, present, don't propose. Proposals don't sell people. People sell people. So making sure that you're walking people through your proposal. Don't just email it and fingers crossed, hope for the best, because they're just going straight to the back and looking at the price. And then the final one that I'm going to sign off and leave you guys with is follow up, follow up, follow up. People have got distractions. They are busy. They are hurting. You have to follow up with your prospects. Over 80% of sales are made between the 5th and the 12th touch point. Between the 5th and the 12th touch point. If you are not following up with prospects, in general, you are leaving money on the table. So Gaynor, hey Gaynor, I could see you. Thank you very much. So guys, they are the common mistakes that I'm seeing from a sales perspective in business. They are the tips for selling that I have just off the cuff. And also that is why I believe sales is a noble trait. And I truly believe that we all should learn this skill. Even if you just learn to communicate better, there's Toastmasters and places that you can go. Google, YouTube. If you'd like to follow me, feel free to do so. We've got lots of free material out there as well. And again, I just want to thank all of you for taking time out of your evening to spend it with me. And again, hats off to the guys over there at Happiness Aid and everything they're doing. I think this is an absolutely unbelievable thing that is not just needed right now, but is needed all around the world at all times. So thank you guys sincerely for the opportunity, and hopefully I'll get to speak to you and meet some of you guys very soon when we're out of this lockdown. So take care, guys. Have yourself a fantastic evening. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Ken. Thank you, Gaynor. Take care. Appreciate it. Cheers, Priya.